Welcome to this episode of the Ortho OT Podcast. I'm your host, Chad Garreau, and today I'm joined by my two friends from Comprehend Health, Jacob Mikulski and Chris Kendall. So thank you guys so much for coming on. If you have not had a chance to check out their company, make sure that you listen to this podcast because there's going to be some great information. This has really changed my life as a private practice owner in therapy. So guys, thank you so much for coming on. And I'll just let you just kind of introduce yourselves, tell a little bit about each of you if you don't mind.
Yeah, heck yeah. Thanks for having us, Chad. Super excited to be here. I'm Jake. I'm the CEO of Comprehend. 8 years ago, my cousin Chris, who happens to be on the call, was doing notes on Christmas. At the time, he was a traveling PT, California, Florida, Arizona, all over the states, but would always come back to snowy Buffalo and do notes on the holidays. And I'm like, hey, man, one day AI will help you with that. Fast forward a bunch of years, I went to school for AI and built him a tool that would record the conversation between him and his patient and use that audio with AI to write all of his notes right in his EMR, so he didn't have to do it manually. So that's my background. I'm technical. I'm not a DPT. I don't pretend to be one, or sometimes I do pretend to be one, but not very well. But really, Chris is the brains of the clinical side.
Awesome. And yeah, I mean, I'm not really that technical either. And so that's a question a lot of people ask, and this is so easy to use. So anyway, all right, Chris, go ahead.
Yeah, it is something we found out actually. Most PTs aren't technical. But I am PT by background. I went to University of Buffalo undergrad, and then Damon for grad school, graduated in 2017, and then did the travel PT life. My wife and I did it together. My one friend joined us. We went everywhere warm while we could, tried to get out of Buffalo, and came home though after my first travel job actually, and I was trying to catch up on an eval because I had to go back and finish that last week between Christmas and New Year's. And when I was home, I was catching up on an eval, and Jake, I think he was still in high school at the time. He's like, AI could do that for you. I'm like, that'd be great because I hate doing this. And then fast forward a few years, he actually built it. And the original version was just a SOAP note, and it already wrote a note better than I could write it. And like we were talking about earlier, like if you're 4 or 5 notes behind, that 5th note, by then you're just writing patient feels good. Like we've all done it at some point. Right. Yeah, it's gone a long way. We've really built Comprehend up to official partnerships with people, and we're excited where we're going.
Yeah, I mean, when I first, I think it was on Instagram, I come across you guys, I don't remember, and had some information. I was like, I'm interested in that. So I just messaged kind of back and forth. I thought, you never know, because I thought, well, this is really inexpensive right off the bat. I thought, man, surely there can't be this inexpensive and this be like super legit. Man, I was really surprised because whoever I talked to, well, I think it was you, Jake, maybe even originally.
Yeah, it was probably.
And then because I know at one point we talked on the phone. Like I called and I had questions, and I'm actually talking to you. I'm like, who gets to talk to like the creators of the product? I mean, that's great. Yeah. And not that you didn't have people that can handle it, but you're handling it yourself. And so that was really cool. And then I said, well, let me give it a shot, and started using it. And it's incredible what it will do. And I've been a big advocate, obviously, for you guys, that I always try to support. And I know that y'all recently spoken to our state therapy organization in my state in Louisiana. And so that was very much appreciated. People really responded well to that and had a lot of great questions. And I know some people that started using the product, and I've talked to since then. We're like, man, this is incredible what it will do. And so I think for me, just personally, it's definitely changed my day to day. I don't know how many hours that it shaved off of my day. But that's been kind of crazy. So, I mean, a lot of times people, when I talk about it, and try to be pretty active on social media and all that. And so they always ask questions like, how does it work? Like, what is this? You have this AI, where do you find it? How do you download it? Do you install it? I mean, how does that work? So, just kind of tell everybody, the listeners and viewers, how that would work.
Yeah. So if you guys want to get started, the easiest way is just Google Comprehend Health, and you'll find our site. Should be like the first, second one. You'll find it if there's not an ad above us. But really, to get started, the main kind of value proposition is that we integrate directly with your EMR. And so we have this Chrome extension that's going to live next to your EMR. So if you download that Chrome extension, you can create an account, get started. You'll get a 7-day free trial. We're like strong believers of just try it. And if we add value, then you can pay us. It's like provide value first. And so get that Chrome extension installed, get it working with your EMR, and then just hit record. When you hit record, you're going to go back and forth with your patient, record a full 30-minute session, or you can do what we call a brain dump, just 2 minutes of everything the AI would need to know to write a note. Hit record, hit comprehend, and less than 15 seconds later, your note is now done for you right in your EMR. And then another cool thing, it's probably going to sound a little bit like a student in the beginning, but what we've done is created an adaptive learning model where you go and you're going to modify the note directly in your EMR, which you're going to do anyways to sign off on the note. You click learn, and then next time it's going to be a little bit better and sound more like you. And then within 5 times of you doing that learning cycle, it's going to be writing notes just like you, and you won't have to be going in and modifying anything at all. It's going to have your style, your tone, no longer sounds like a student. And so we've done our best to simplify and make it really easy to use.
Yeah, I think, as far as again, I'm not a super tech person, so it was really easy for me to do. When I did it, download the Chrome extension and started using it. And there were a lot of options where you can customize if you want, something bulleted, if you had, just depending on how you want it. But being able to, like you said, the adaption, I did notice that at first it was kind of one way. Not that it was bad, but it was, the more I use it, the more it just kind of developed. And so now if I do an evaluation or a note or whatever, but especially an evaluation, because that's crazy time saving, it does start to put together things differently. I mean, in other words, a lot of people have asked, like, is it like, okay, it's going to exactly repeat, these exact verbatim sentence things? No, it designs it into like this structured conversation. And then there's all these segues of how it ties into other things. So let's say, for instance, if you make a note that a shoulder strength is this, or range of motion is this, it almost already is starting to develop this. Okay, so overhead reaching is this.
Yeah.
These other things are being affected. It just starts to put it together, and you don't even have to say it. And it's that to me is that was pretty incredible. I always show that to people. I'm like, there's no way you can come up with a note this good.
Yeah. It's so cool because it's like following your train of thought, and like you don't need, like, a lot of things you don't even have to say. It just gets it.
I get that a lot. Anytime I do a demo with somebody, they're like, well, does it do my goals for me? Will it write my assessment for me? Like, how does it know? And it's like, it's just intuitive enough to know, like, hey, you talked about shoulder range of motion and their one side was limited compared to the other. It made a goal for you. Specifically how you write your goals, like, it'll do all that for them. And that's usually where people's minds kind of get blown a bit. Because, like, as a therapist, that was the issue, is I could do an eval. I could usually write some subjective down. The objective, I had chicken scratched on something. And then I'd have 2-3 evals at the end of the day. I'm like, I can't come up with 6 goals for this person and write an assessment for this person because they're both here for their shoulder. One was in the morning, one was in the afternoon. Like, it just all starts to blur together. We're like, now I love doing evals. So I still have a cash practice here, and I'll treat 3-4 people a week. And I usually just do an evaluation, give them a bunch of stuff to work on because, like, I enjoy it. And now my eval's done as soon as I click comprehend. So it's kind of a win-win. Like, I still get to do what I want, and I get to help all the other therapists around the country when I give comprehend to them.
Yeah, that's, you're talking about like the goals. You can customize the goals. Like, okay, I only want 5 goals. You can go over to the side, and people will see that when they use a program. You can go in and customize. I only want to have these certain things a certain way. But for me, I just kind of let it run free. And the goals that it comes up with, because that's a big question. A lot of therapists ask me, like, is it going to come up with good, measurable goals? Like, are you kidding me? It's going to go through everything in the conversation and you can put, like, when I do my goals, I'll say, if I want to get specific, okay, so let's just say, I'm going to be specific with my goals. And I'm going to say, okay, short-term goals for 4 weeks and long-term goals for 8 weeks, or whatever that's going to be. And I may drop a few things in there, and it's going to be very specific with those things. But if you just leave it where it's just picking the goals for you, it's going to kind of piggyback off the duration. So if you're going to see them 3 times a week for 8 weeks, if you say that at some point during the conversation or during the brain dump or information dump, whatever, I tell people I'm just regurgitating all my information from the eval if I do that. And so then it just puts it all together, and it's going to reference anything that was talked about, even stuff like, because you're just candidly, a lot of times, having a conversation with your patient, and they're just you might miss things. They especially have a long history, like all these details. And I had one recently that had a very, very complex background, and there's no way I could write all this down. And I wanted to listen to her and not sit there and write the whole time and whatever, or type. And it was kind of funny because I know we talked a little bit before we got on, and so this was actually a patient that asked me, like, he was like, Chad, do you need to write this stuff down? And I said, no, I don't have to write any of this down. I said, I have a laptop and a microphone that sits in the room with me on a little table. I know you can use like your phone and stuff like that. I know you guys will talk about that, but and so I just have it running, and I said, no, no, no. And she says, oh, that's recording, which always when I do that, I always tell the patient in advance, hey, we're recording, just so you know. And so our staff will tell them up front, or we let them know, or it's in our paperwork. In any way, and it's all privacy compliant and all that kind of stuff, right? And I said, no, this is not. She goes, oh, it's recording our conversation. I said, well, it's interpreting our conversation. And I was like, man, because I just thought about that and just kind of come out. And I just thought it's interpreting what's going on. And the way that it's going to develop this dialogue that's going to integrate at the end of this, when I walk out of the room, if I don't want customized goals for myself that I want to put in, which mine are not going to be as good as Comprehend PT's, I'm just going to click Comprehend. And it's done. The note's done. Information automatically populates everywhere throughout my EMR system. That is incredible. And I use WebPT, by the way. I love WebPT. I know you guys, you've partnered, is that right, with WebPT recently?
Yeah, we're super excited about the partnership. They're helping us out a bunch, giving us a lot of customers. And it's really cool because we have to make the integration better. We've made this integration phenomenal, even leaps and bounds better than it was before. But yeah, like the goals, we're filling in the discrete data. But yeah, really excited about the partnership with WebPT.
Yeah, I mean, the question too that a lot of people will ask is, okay, number one, and I kind of touched on it, is it HIPAA compliant? Is this the patient's information? Where is that stored? How does that work?
Yeah,
so and if you can tell us about that.
It was cool because back in the day, like the first version of this ran on my local laptop, and then the first web-based version ran on a server in my basement. And Chris is like, "This is HIPAA compliant," and that was like, of course, like the first thing a PT is going to ask, and I'm like, give me 2 weeks. So then we figured out what it all meant to be HIPAA compliant and stuff. A lot of sleepless nights, and it took more than 2 weeks, probably closer to 2 months before it actually got HIPAA compliant, maybe even more. But yeah, we use Amazon Web Services, and the hard part about HIPAA is the server itself has to be stored in a locked room, and you have to have like some amount of knowledge on who has keys to that room because the data is on the disks and all this stuff. So by using AWS, we're on HIPAA compliant servers. And then we sign a BAA with both AWS and with every customer that signs up. And that BAA, that business associate agreement, makes us compliant. And then we have a whole bunch of security process and procedures that have been audited by a third party to verify that we are truly HIPAA compliant. We're SOC 2 Type 2 compliant. And we have all our stuff published. It's all online. If you go to our website, scroll to the very bottom, you'll be able to see our Trust Center. And our Trust Center outlines all of our policies and procedures that make us HIPAA compliant and SOC 2 Type 2 compliant.
Awesome. Yeah, because I know that again is a question that a lot of people ask, and it comes up. Yeah. And what about if you are, okay, let's say, because my setting is outpatient, ortho stuff. And so what if you're in a skilled nursing facility or in a hospital somewhere? And this is a big question people ask. What if my employer, and I know this may be more of an employer question, but what if my employer doesn't necessarily purchase it? Are they able just to purchase it for themselves and then put it like on their phone or laptop? How would that work if they could do something like that?
Yeah. So the cool part about the Chrome extension is there aren't special permissions you need to install this on a laptop. You don't have to get IT involved. You can go ahead and just download it, get started, make an account, and run off to the races. We're signing a BAA with you as the provider in this case. And so we're covered from that respect. If you're in a SNF or you're in an inpatient setting, give it a try. You'll be surprised at how well it works.
Awesome. Honestly, that is probably the biggest question that I've seen, because, a lot of therapists, Chris, right? Like a lot of us are either working in inpatient places and, or even home health, different settings, and, not the traditional ortho, or not say traditional, but not in ortho. It's not traditional, but, not in that kind of stuff in setting. And so I know that's a big question people ask. Well, can I get it? What if my employer won't let me have it? I actually had a therapy student recently that worked in a SNF, and he used it here. And he was like, oh my goodness, like there's no way I can go back to typing, right? Which is really funny. I type almost zero now. Like the only typing I do is to click this mouse to pull the patient name up. I mean, if I need to go back, click comprehend. And so that
we're getting rid of that too. We'll have to get into our vision of the world next. Oh, cool. Yeah, we don't want you ever having hands on a keyboard, hands on a mouse, nothing. We want you to be able to use your voice for all of it.
Look, I love it. Honestly, the system, and that's one of the things that he said too, was like, man, I cannot make myself go back to this. And so he was already talking to his friends at work, because he worked there as a therapy assistant, went back to school, and so he was going back, and he said, I'm already messaging him like, guys, you got to see this.
I get this.
And when I first mentioned it to our state organization before you guys had spoken all, they were asking, like, well, do you have to record during the session? Because what if I have multiple patients, I'm jumping back and forth, whatever. And which one of the things for me, what I typically will do is I'll do that information dump, right? And so I'll come back and it is so crazy. I mean, if 60 seconds, I can talk pretty fast.
Yep.
I can talk for 60 seconds, just fly through it, right? And bam, that note is there. And and not all of our staff feels comfortable. Yeah, I'm trying to convert them all over to it. So a few of them are like, I don't know, I'm okay just typing. Okay, I'm going to go through a dozen notes, and you're still a note, maybe two, maybe I don't know, but there's no way you can compare the speed. And so I will do that. And even like after an eval, I think my fastest eval, it was crazy. I timed it. It was like, and it was pretty in depth. I think it was a shoulder patient. And so I had all my information written out. I had just seen them, just information that I knew. I didn't have my laptop in there. And so I just come back up to my office and I just started going. And I think the fastest it was around 5 minutes from start to finish from the time I clicked. So I went through, so I clicked comprehend. Everything was done. And a lot of people are like, oh, was it that good of a node? Was it? Yeah, it's that good, you know? So and I know we had talked briefly too, and I told you guys that, you have like random audits, right? Like, just an audit, an insurance company, audits you and things like, because we're still insurance based. And so I had an audit, and one of the compliments that I got from this third party, auditing a company was, man, they said your notes, the documentation's really, really impressive. So the evaluations are some of the most in-depth, just comprehensive evaluations. She's like, I do this a lot. And I said, well, honestly, I use an AI system, and it's helping me along, and it's just crazy what it's able to do. And she says, well, keep doing that. And I actually had no deficiencies, by the way. Thank goodness. I know anybody that's listened to this that's had audits and things, like, oh my gosh, no deficiencies. But that was one of the things that they really complimented us on. And I had another just a random audit not too long after I'd started using it, and I didn't speak to anybody directly, but they contacted me and wanted to use my clinic's documentation as an example of appropriate documentation that was supporting what we were doing. And I didn't explain to them that I was using an AI. I didn't have a chance to talk to anybody, but that was after what we were, I started using that, and some of the staff started using it. And so, like, I mean, that just speaks for itself. I mean, there's no comparison, honestly.
Isn't that cool though? Like, that's our vision of the world, where you can focus exclusively on your patients. Providers got into healthcare so they could help people get better. And like, insurance, while necessary, oftentimes gets in the way. Like, the amount of documentation burden that providers have, burning people out. And now you get to focus on your patient. It's better care, so people are getting better faster. You're doing what you love. You're more fulfilled. Like, wins across the board, in my opinion. So that's just such a great story. I love that. And that's really why we do what we do, Chris.
Right. Yeah. I mean, Chris, because you've practiced, treating patients. I mean, I just want to get your take on this. And of course, I know the answer, I think. But as far as being able just to interact with your patient during the evaluation, during the treatment, and you're not having to sit there and write. I worked in a home health setting where I had to use this electronic thing and type in the whole time I'm there. I mean, for you, have patients responded well for you, in that, because of that ability, you're focused on them?
Yeah, and that was part of the issue when I was practicing outpatient full time, is I would get behind because I educated a lot. I always told people like why I was doing what I was doing, like what I was doing. And then I'd get done and I'd have to go sit on lunch and type up 8 notes from the morning because I was hands on with people. I was educating them. Now, like in my practice, I have a few Google reviews where they like specifically call out, like, he really told me everything he was doing. Like, he really like helped me along. Like, he never like was walking away doing different things. Like, it's because I could focus on them the whole time. Like, you talked about like a solo provider signing up. That's kind of how we started. Like, I just reached out to all my friends that were cash PTs, travel PTs. I'm like, hey guys, like, just try it. They're all like, yeah, I'll pay anything out of pocket. If I can get all my time back, this is worth hundreds of dollars. Like, I'll pay you whatever you want. And that's kind of where we figured out, like, okay, this is useful, after we had a few of my friends try it. And then we started growing from there. And now we have thousands of people on. But it's one of those things that, like, yeah, it writes your note, it writes it really good. Plus, we give you that score in real time. So, like, you're talking about, like, you got your audits back and you passed with flying colors. we also give you that grade right away. So you know if you're letting notes go through that are okay or not. And that's one thing that, like, as we branched into the other worlds of therapy, not just the outpatient ortho PT, it's like everybody has notes that are stipulations to them, to their clinic. So now we let people customize it their own way too. So you know every note is compliant per your company's guidelines, also per Medicare.
Yeah, I forgot to mention that about the compliance score that it gives. Because if you forget something, or if you have an EMR that has multiple tabs, if you have to do something there and you maybe click on each tab or whatever, it's going to let you know, like, wait a minute, my compliance score is a D. There's no way that's a D. Oh, I didn't click on this, kind of a thing. And so I forgot about that. That's a really cool feature as well, just to make sure that you're doing, everything you need to do with that.
Right. And the other thing with that too, you might not always articulate everything that you're doing. And so that's like the oftentimes occurrence of like when you'll get a lower score. You didn't articulate the range of motion measurements. You didn't articulate the activity you were doing. And so it's not like you're not a compliant therapist. It's hey, we know you were compliant in your treatment today. We just want to make sure that's fully covered. And so just give us a little bit extra. Give us a little brain dump saying what you missed there. And we're going to make sure we take care of you. Take care of therapists.
Yeah, because like during the evaluation, what I'll do is I always tell the patients, right, that this is what we're doing, and I'll say, okay, so you may hear me call out some tests and measurements and things, and I'm still talking with them. I'm just going to call it out. I say, so my friend over here, pay attention and make sure and pick all that information up for me. And so like I'm measuring someone. Matter of fact, I was measuring a lady yesterday, cervical spine range of motion stuff. And I'm just calling it out. We're just talking. I'm like, if you look up at the ceiling, okay, that's about 40 degrees there, active range of motion, cervical spine. And then I don't have to keep repeating cervical spine. It just I'll give another measurement, and it's just assuming already, or it's learning that that's what I'm measuring, and it just puts it all together. And so her and I are just talking back and forth, and I'm writing nothing down. And the accuracy of that is always so incredible at how accurate that will be. And I know for our peds therapists, I really want to touch on that because I've had some peds therapists ask this. So if you got little ones you're working with, especially, you don't have time to write. You don't have time to make notes. You've got 20 things planned that you're working through. Yeah. Set it up over here. Have it running. You're talking with your patient,
right?
And you're making notes. Required max assistance. Or you're talking over here, whatever. And then it's everything. And then mom's talking or dad's talking and saying this. Well, the other night, this, and this. It's picking all of this up, and you don't have to retype it or write it. I can't stress enough how beneficial that would have to be in their setting for sure.
Yeah, and that's what we see like in the ortho world. Like, how many times have we done an eval and halfway through the eval, you're like, oh, I know, like before you said your shoulder was bothering you. They're like, oh yeah, I actually had a rotator cuff replacement 3 years ago. Like, I asked what your subjective history was, and you said, nothing in my past. I'm like, that's pretty significant. But like, I know a lot of peds therapists. Like my wife worked per diem for peds, and she would always tell me, like, halfway through the session, the parent would be like, oh yeah, last week, like, they took a step with their right foot instead of left. She's like, that's actually pretty important to know. And like, that was halfway through the visit. So if she wasn't recording the whole thing, it wouldn't have picked it up.
Yeah.
So like, that's where it becomes beneficial to just let it ambient listen in the background.
Yeah, and that background listening was also the question as far as if you had more than one patient. So let's say that whatever your situation is, you're kind of going back and forth between two folks. How does that work? Would you just let it run in the background, or would you say, how I just don't really know how that would work, because that gets asked a lot.
Yeah, Chris, do you want to talk about the quick recorder?
Yeah, so this is something that we made based on like my history of working in those outpatient clinics. Like in Buffalo, we have really low reimbursement. So you have to see 3-4 people an hour, almost every hour. So we have what we call quick record, where once you start to visit, they're listed in your visits tab. You turn on the little toggle, and now there's a microphone next to each person. So I could just be on my phone, my computer, hit the microphone next to Jake. Like, all right, Jake, like, hop off the bike. Let's take a look at your knee. Like, lay down. Okay, your knee flexion is this. And then give them an exercise, stop that recording, jump over to Chad, hit record next to your name. Now I can record everything we're doing, and just easy to go back and forth. And as soon as I get even 20 seconds, I open up your note on the EMR, click on your name, hit comprehend, and it writes your whole note.
Wow, I didn't realize that. I've seen that feature, but I didn't know what that was. So I probably should do some more of the training stuff.
And what we see is like a lot of people will do a lot of the recordings. They're like, hey, I just recorded everything all morning. And then before they go on lunch, they could get 10 notes done in 10 minutes. They just open up the note in the EMR, open up that recording, hit comprehend. Open up the note, hit that recording, hit comprehend.
Wow, I didn't realize that. Wow, and that's another thing too. There's you guys offer a ton of training, right, on your website and all this kind of stuff, right?
Yeah, lots of videos all over. I'm a huge fan of that. Like, we're totally public on everything we do. We don't hide anything at all. We put out videos constantly, and we also love getting on calls with people. The cool thing is we have the opportunity to get on calls with our users, and that feedback we get from you is super valuable. And so if anybody ever wants to get on a call, we're totally open to it. Not only do we want the feedback, but we honestly don't get a lot of support calls. So we have the opportunity to give everybody this white glove support because people don't really use it. Once you get on, you get used to it. It's so easy to use. Not many people are getting on calls. And so we use every opportunity with our customers to drive product development, to drive roadmap, to drive what we're doing next.
Yeah, what you said actually is something I've thought about because I spoke with you about this on the goals a while back. There was something with the goals that got, I don't remember, something
I
changed.
remember this, yeah.
I don't remember what happened. I was like, man, this is not how I'm doing this is kind of messing up my goals. I got to click this again. Literally, I don't know if it was 2 days. It may have not even been 2 days.
Yeah.
That was changed, fixed, whatever. I don't want to say fixed. I'm saying anything was wrong with it. Just my way of doing it had changed. And I was like, wow, I literally talked to you and you're like, we'll fix it. No big deal. And bam, it was fixed. Or again, I won't say fixed because I'm not saying there's a problem, but it was changed for me either way. So anyway,
it's a great example. So not to get in the weeds, but for this specific case, we used to do goals in just a single free text box. And we did an update where now we're going to fill in WebPT, the individual fields where every discrete goal would go. And the problem was we were asking users to make however many boxes you wanted for the goals. And so if I wanted 8 goals, I had to hit add goal 8 times. Well, that's not the most intuitive thing in the world. And so we just went back in and designed it in such a way where it like knows how many goals you want. It's going to make those many boxes for you. So that was one great example of a time when we had to go create a creative solution because our users wanted something. And that's what we do at Comprehend.
Yeah, that's what I remember that now because what I was doing is I would just do one, I would say short-term goals or long-term goals, and was putting it in one box, just everything. And it would list it out short-term and then, 1 through 5 or whatever that is in long-term. And then when you had to click each box, I become pretty lazy because it's such an awesome system and fast. I'm like, no, I don't want to keep clicking this.
Yeah.
Why do I have to keep clicking this? And then that's what happened. You guys have fixed it. And honestly, that's a better system because now, and Chris, I know you can attest to this, you can get specific with each goal, a percentage, because some, insurance wants to see 50% towards the goal, 25%. So now you can go in and you can adjust that and you can change that for each goal if you want, or, the system will change it. So.
Yeah, and that was a really cool upgrade we did probably about a year ago, but it's this idea that we can do structured data too. So the ability to do free text is super useful. If you just want a SOAP, that's fine. But now we can do structured data. And so you're trying to track range of motion over time. If it's in free text, it's hard to plot. But now we have the ability to fill in like the actual box for the number. We'll do tables, we'll do multiple choice, we'll do pane sliders, we'll do your goals with percentages in a comment. I'm just super, super excited about all of it because it's all driven by what providers want.
Yeah, because like for instance, I did a reassessment yesterday, and the original patient's elbow flexion was, let's just say 50, and today I saw a range of motion 75. Well, yes, it is going to update that, in an objective section for range of motion and all this kind of thing, or muscle strength, whatever you're testing. But then what's really cool is it goes to different parts, the assessment and different sections in the EMR, and it will just kind of narratively in dialogue say the patient's range of motion originally was this, has improved to this. And then it will also just throw in, if I, say that they're still having pain, range of motion may be limited to pain or this, and this, or adaptive short. Like it will start to pull in other things that I didn't even ask for. And I tell people like, I didn't even know I needed it, but I needed it. And it will pull it in other areas. So that's a really cool feature too.
Yeah, our chat feature, so something that actually becomes even more important now. I'm sure Jake will talk about it in a minute. But like I get a lot of questions from people that take students and like new grads. You can shut sections off. It's like you have a new grad that starts, you might want them to critically think like how to come up with an assessment. You could set that section to skip. AI still writes the rest of their note for them, takes their subjective, objective stuff so they can still focus on the patient. they can still manually type in what the assessment would be. Plus, in our chat feature, what a lot of people are using it now for too, is that's essentially can give you anything you want. So if you have a student, you're like, well, they had limited shoulder range of motion, they had a positive Hawkins Kennedy, like, what do you think is going on? And they could come up with an idea, and then you could literally, in a click of a button, say, like, here, give me a differential diagnosis. And it lists 4 or 5 and gives you justification. Well, they had a limited range of motion, positive special test, weakness in the rotator cuff. Like, this is most likely number 1, number 2, number 3, all the way down a list. And then it kind of helps you, like, in real time, like, okay, maybe I should look at that.
Yeah, I actually told someone that yesterday. So crazy. I said the same thing. I said, this is also going to give these differential diagnosis of things. And it will say, like, if you go through, if you did, I don't know, cluster of Wayne or something like that, and 3 of the 4 tests were positive or negative, well, then it's also going to suggest other close, possible diagnosis to rule in or rule out, or we can't rule this out or rule this in completely, kind of starts to formulate that with that. I did notice that right away. And I thought, well, that's a really cool feature. It's like a therapist that's backing me up, kind of give me a little bit of help, or a lot of bit of help, And so I thought that was really cool as well. So
cool add on that. So our chat actually has access to any visit you've ever done in Comprehend. And so the entire case history is at your fingertips. And so some stuff might not be fresh. Like, it's 13 visits later, like that might've been 4 weeks ago. You might not remember a bunch of stuff. And so when you're asking questions about differential diagnosis, it's going to tie in things from 13 visits ago that you might not even remember. So really, really cool opportunity from that perspective.
Wow. Yeah. And going back on that feature, you're talking about you could turn certain features off. So I actually did that on my goals for reassessments because I didn't want it. It will update the goals, change the goals, which some people may want. I wanted to keep my goals the same unless I wanted to change them.
Yeah.
And so you can just go over and just click the little spot, goes over, doesn't overwrite the goals, leaves that alone. And then when I want to update them on that one, I just click to go to overwrite, and then it's going to update the goals if I want to update them. So I do like that ability to turn that off and on if you want it, if you don't want it, this kind of thing.
Yeah, that was a big thing we found early. It's not every part of the note gets rewritten every time. It's actually kind of annoying when it's rewriting the goals for every daily note. Like, that's not how it works. And so, yeah, we just built a tool that will adapt to our users. Chris?
And everybody documents different too. So, like, everybody treats different. They also document completely different. Like, some people, they put all their objective measures in, like, the objective findings on WebPT that's in the billing section. But, like, some people are like, no, I want everything in the objective tab. So, like, giving people the freedom to fully customize, like, how they do it, as well as, like, what's in there. It's like, you'll have a McKenzie therapist and then a Maitland therapist and then an exercise only person and, like, a cranial sacral person. Like, everybody does different things, and Comprehend can work with all of them.
Yeah, and it will reference those as well. You're talking about McKenzie. It will, if you start talking about certain exercises or things, especially if you've mentioned it before, and I guess the system picks up that this collection of exercises or things or techniques is something that you categorize in the past as being McKenzie or whatever. And so then it's going to reference that in the note. And I thought that was really cool too. I didn't have to say it every time. It's no, like you said, it's learning, I guess, all the from the previous info. So
yeah, and like talk about like getting it ready for audit and like really audit proof notes. It's stuff like that where it's like tying in everything. Like, you did so much great treatment today. You did had a great treatment. You're articulating so much really good information. We're doing the documentation to support what great treatment you had today.
Yeah, and even
that's awesome.
That ties into the coding feature too. So, like, we'll recommend CPT codes based on everything you said and did. And there's a lot of times that, like, people don't bill for what they could. It's like, this is something that comes up in a nursing home all the time. When I did per diem for SNF, they're like, your time you spend educating the patient is billable time. And, like, AI would tell me, like, hey, this is a self-care patient education, their X, and it give you justification for each code that it said you could do and tells you why. So now all of a sudden, yeah, you could get reimbursed more. So, like, now I always think back when I worked in Arizona, we'd always have a meeting every month, and they'd always say, like, hey, if we build a little more Theract and some ultrasound, we'd make this much more money. As a therapist, like, I don't want to be told what to bill. But now if the AI is justifying for me, like, yeah, you can bill this, and this is why. I'm like, okay, maybe I can. And then we still leave it up to each therapist. Like, that's still their clinical judgment of, like, full autonomy. You pick what codes you're billing, but we will give you justification for each one.
Yeah, I thought that feature was also really cool. For me, on the objective, the billing sheet for WebPT.
Yeah.
So if you click Therex, manual therapy, whatever that is, it will go through, and it's it's like a paragraph of everything, and it pulls back from the note. Therex, 3 sets of 10 or three, whatever. I say 3 10s. Sometimes I mix it up. I'm like 3 13s and a half, just to drive some people crazy.
Yeah.
And but it will put that in each section. Manual therapy, all your techniques. It will come back and put that into each section. And I thought that was really cool. Just an extra tie-in of everything that's going on that you've done. I mean, it's almost like bulletproofing your documentation. It not only in case you get audited or these other things, but really so that there's consistency with your notes. There's your care, everything that you're doing. If someone comes behind you, I can promise you, if somebody comes behind us that we're using this, it's very obvious as to what we did. I mean, it is very detailed. It's not the same like copy over patient performed Therex, tolerated well, see flow sheet, patient tolerated well, see flow, it's very, very detailed. And again, I'm not going to sit there I don't want to sit there and copy it over every time. And there's no comparison to what you guys have built that I have come across anywhere. And trust me, I've looked, and it's incredible what you've done. And if people really need to give it a shot, they really need to check it out. I've been contemplating, even on my YouTube channel, to start adding some videos of just some mock patients and let people just watch me go through some of it. It'd be pretty mind blowing for people, I think, if you've witnessed it. And and again, for the price. And so that's the question too. It's like, how much is the system? How does that work? Is there a contract? How does that work?
Yeah. So we're $99 per month per user. But the way we look at it is we're saving providers 2 hours a day. So if you have 22 working days, we're saving something like 40 hours per month. And your time is obviously worth more than $2 an hour, right? More than a cup of coffee a day, almost certainly, right? And so we can save people that much time at $99. We like to think we have like a 40x return on investment here. And like you said about contracts, right? We don't believe that we should take your money if we're not serving you. And so free trial, go try it. Just give it 7 days. You'll see it within the first day and keep using it. And then once you can't live without it, like it's $99 per month. And no contracts. So if for whatever reason, after a month, you decide it's not worth it anymore, or you quit or whatever, there's no strings attached. Like I fully embody like customer friendly from that perspective. We're just trying to help providers, help people just like Chris, just like Chad.
Yeah, I mean, and that's one of the things. There's no contract. So right off the bat, if I don't have to sign a contract, it's probably a pretty good product you're standing behind. Yeah. There's a free trial. So a free trial, very unlikely that I'm not going to keep the trial. I can always back out. I have any obligation. Right. I can't imagine once you use it. And that is something I want to tell people that's listening or watching. If you use it for 7 days, let's say you use it for 9 days or 7 or 9 days, and you're not, I don't feel like I can do it really well, although it's pretty easy. Give yourself some more time. I promise you it is worth it. I would pay a lot more than what you guys charge for this system. There is no comparison. I would do without other things. I promise you, to have this. And I actually told my wife the other day, I said, I don't know what would happen if something happened and this company didn't exist currently, because I cannot go back to the old way of doing things. I really encourage people to check them out. And again, you go to your website, which is it comprehend.com?
Yeah, comprehendhealth.ai, comprehendpt.ai. Either will work. Feel free to give it a send. Google's always easy. It's just Google Comprehend Health will be the first one. But yeah, check us out. Highly recommend. And then we got some really cool stuff on the roadmap. Would love to chat about that a little bit if you're still in for it.
Yeah. What's going on?
So work with me here. But our vision of the world is that in which clinicians show up, help people get better, and go home. There is no unnecessary notes to be done at the end of the day. During the day, there's not even hands on a keyboard. Instead, what we see is something like the Meta Ray-Bans, where you put on your Meta Ray-Bans at the beginning of the day. So as a provider, you walk in, you put these on, and there is no more computer. There's just, hey, Comprehend, who's my next patient? Hey, Comprehend, tell me more about them. Hey, Comprehend, finish my note. And it's going to ask you clarifying questions if your compliance isn't up to snuff. We think that's like the vision of the world ahead. And we're so, Chad, I'm going to get this turned on your account. It's in production. So I'll make sure it's on for you. You're going to see a little bubble in the bottom left. Give it a try. The amount of delight the amount of delight that providers get the first time they see it, and they can ask it like, what are some good progressions for this patient? It's a crazy experience for providers. And
What?
I'll get it turned on for your account. You don't even need the
Awesome.
Meta Ray-Bans today. So you can use a laptop, you can use AirPods, you can use whatever you want, but there's this clinical assistant that's able to operate the software for you. And you can have, like, it's an expert. Ask it any question about the provider's history.
That is crazy.
Yeah.
Look, you're making me even, I don't want to say lazier,
Yeah.
but more efficient.
Or
I'm becoming
focused
more,
on your patient, right? Better outcomes.
man, that's crazy. That's just incredible. I don't know. Again, it's people like yourselves that create this stuff. That's just that changes things for everyone else. It's just I don't know. I don't know what to say. That's fantastic. That's really, really cool. So I'm pumped about that. I'm gonna check that out today, actually.
Yeah, sounds good. I'll get it turned on for you.
Awesome, man. I appreciate you guys so much. Again, I know we've talked back and forth a little bit. They are on Instagram. What other media sites are you on? Facebook, or what all are you guys on?
Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, got all those going. Just check us out. Give it a try. Like, fully just like go and try it. You'll see. You'll get it.
Awesome. You definitely could do that, guys. Make sure that you check them out. And I want to thank Jake again for coming on. I thank you so much, Chris. I really appreciate you guys' time and what you guys have created. Again, it has changed my life. So I do appreciate you guys so much. And everyone that's listening or watching, make sure that you rate my podcast 5 stars wherever you listen. And we appreciate you guys so much. And we'll see you next time.
Appreciate it, guys.